Ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday, March 31st, and you are here for another edition of Roundtable Sports, Fourth and Forever. We have some great news, all right? Several news lines lined up that we all want to fill your football brains with for this next hour. We ask that you smash that like button and as well, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, turn on those bell notifications so you could be a part of our live chat community. TD, how was your weekend, man? Talk to us.
It was beautiful. A lot of good family time, out on the town with the fam, taking a break. We grind hard over here. We talk sports. We talk ball, fourth and forever. Yeah. We are live here on Monday. Man, I'm glad to have you on the show, Kobe. Not like his big shoes to fill, the blasphemy is absent today. So, yeah, we're good. We're good.
Speaking of which, Colby, what is going on? He's filling in for Richie today. He is a familiar face on the network and always our go-to. What's up, Colby? How's life?
It's good. I mean, TD, you said it best. I think this weekend was absolutely amazing. I think it was probably the best weekend I've had in recent history. The only downside is that my car crashed out. I have a 2024 car that I bought less than a year ago. And all of a sudden, I'm driving on the highway, windows down, blasting my music. I'm singing my little heart out. Next thing I know, it's like, hey, pull over as soon as you can. Something wrong with your engine. I was like, damn. Well, there goes my weekend. The sun was out, man. I was feeling good. I'm still feeling good. I appreciate y'all for having me on. Shout out to Richie, man. Like I always like to say, I'm like the ultimate fill-in man for Roundtable Sports. That's the way I see it. I'm versatile like that. You need me on the NFC West? I got you. You need me to host? I got you. You need me on fourth and forever? Wow. I got you.
So you are the Debo Samuel of Roundtable Sports.
I am, except I don't get injured. Yeah.
Except you don't get injured. Yeah, he always ultimately ends up showing up. Folks, if you are listening on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts, we highly recommend that you give us a rating and review and be as honest as humanly possible. And say that you want to be mean. Just don't. But other than that, guys, yeah, we are on audio as well, so certainly go on ahead and check us out. We are going to experiment with audio-only episodes here shortly. We will keep you in mind with this. Again, smash that like button, and let's get into the topics of today. And you know what? Like, this has been a recurring topic that we have been discussing for the past couple of weeks, but the time is now here. The NFL owners meeting is currently happening in Florida as we speak. And you know what? The Tush Push just appears to be the number one cause of concern during this voting period. We will understand the fate of the play that the Philadelphia Eagles made famous. Several other teams are using, and several other teams are trying to get it out. Now, it's funny because Nick Sirianni, he was interviewed last week, and he was asked on his confidence level of whether or not this play was going to be banned. And he ended up bringing up a lot of his former coordinators who are now head coaches in the league. And he suggested, well, you know what? All of those guys, and Kellen Moore and Jonathan Gannon, Steichen as well, I think those guys would not be in their current positions without that play. So I know that we have 4 votes, and all they need is 6 teams to vote against it. I think it's pretty clear that Buffalo is going to vote against it as well because they tend to use it. Thoughts on this, folks? Not whether or not that you think that it's going to be banned, but should it? Colby, will this ultimately end up being banned, and what are your thoughts on the Tush Push? Talk to me.
I think there's a good chance that it ultimately does get banned, but it should not be banned. You're telling me that we are going to ban a play just because teams are pressed, that they are not good enough to stop it, that their defenses are not equipped to stop it, that their coaching staff do not have high football IQs to be able to stop the play. The Philadelphia Eagles have just perfected it, and everybody's mad about it. Multiple teams are running it. If they had the success that the Philadelphia Eagles did, they would not be mad. The reason that teams are mad is because they can't implement or have the same success that the Philadelphia Eagles have had with it, and they also can't stop the Philadelphia Eagles from doing it. That's why everybody's mad. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, they tried to do the exact same thing multiple times this past year. How many times did they run it against the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, but they couldn't pull it off? That shows you that the play is able to be stopped. But the Philadelphia Eagles are so well equipped to run it. They have the scheme. They have the coaching staff. They just have the offense built enough to be able to run that exact play so effectively, and that's why everybody wants to get rid of it. If you don't like it, instead of banning it, figure out a way to stop it. It is as simple as that. Build up the trenches. Have a better coaching staff that knows what they're doing. I mean, should we ban Patrick Mahomes from complaining to the refs a certain amount of times per game? Like, is that what's coming next? No, I think it's stupid. I think if you don't like a play simply because you can't stop it, then you are the issue, right? It's that famous saying. If every single one of your roommates has an issue with you, you're probably the issue.
Oh, man. See, it's funny because say, for example, that we were seeing a lot of injuries occur from this play. And I'm not sure about you guys. Like, maybe it's recency bias, but I cannot recall a single instance where I saw somebody carted off of the field due to this play, right? I think you're more prone to get injured if, for example, so you simply go on ahead and just hand the ball off right to Saquon Barkley, and you want him to get that 1 or 2 yards right up the middle. So the data really doesn't back the whole, it's for player safety. I cannot recall a single cart off sort of injury since this play has been implemented in the league. TD, will it get banned? Will they have enough votes? Talk to us.
I think they'll have just enough votes. It's getting banned. They'll probably have one. It'll probably end up 25 out of 32. They'll just get it, because we could talk about who does it well and how they'll vote against changing it, but everybody else are struggling with it and they just don't want it a part of the game, and they're going to vote against the tush push. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up coming out of it. It's me personally. I think that it actually, when you really look at the play, it's an advantage, because the defender, they're not allowed to go low and chop the legs of the old lineman to start the wall from coming down and things like that. But the offense can get low and push forward all they want, and they could just keep on driving forward. You have to think about what it actually takes to stop it. First of all, you got to get low. And are they allowed to get low and break down those old linemen's legs right away? That's what they call dirty. You got to be able to jump in there, crash down low, and have that wall stop, and then you got to expose quarterback up high. But that's not the case. So I feel like it kind of is an advantage, but these teams gonna vote it out. They don't like little nuances like that. Me personally, I say keep it in, man, because everybody can do it. It's not like you're allowed, but you're not. So it is what it is. Make it a new element of the game that you got to figure out. So sometimes I have my moments. I have mixed feelings about it, but I would keep it in because it is a legal football play. But I do like the proposal originally. From pre-snap, a guy can't stand directly behind and push or whatever it may be. Maybe that can, help out. But yeah, I think that they're going to vote it out because too many teams are not liking it because they can't do it.
Now, what we need to find are the teams that might want to implement it in the future. And it all comes down into you need a strong ass QB. A strong ass QB in order to pull it off effectively, like Hurts and Josh Allen right there. And then as Sirianni said, he was just so the Cardinals will likely vote with the Eagles. So will the Colts and so will the Saints, because all of them were former coordinators for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bills, that's 5 teams. And all they need is 2 more that would need to vote in its favor in order for it to still be here in 2025. I'm just trying to think and wrap my head around what other teams have attempted this.
Well, from what it sounds like, the Patriots also would vote to keep the rule. From what I've heard,
it sounds like something Drake May would do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
he's got the bill.
Well, let me say this, because I studied the tush push a little bit. I actually disagree with a lot of people that think it has something to do with how strong the quarterback is in his legs. Jalen Hurts has perfected it, but he is strong and stuff. But Jalen Hurts don't even use his legs like that. The key to the tush push is hiking the ball, waiting that 1 full second. If you notice Jalen Hurts, he hikes it, like crouches and waits. Where is all the the contact? Bang, bang, bang. That's the hole. Then he goes down and they start pushing. He waits that semi-second because remember, you're always going to have 3 O linemen on 2 D linemen and a linebacker like, which hole do I jump on? And as soon as he hikes, he waits that 1 second to see where the defense is engaging, and there's always a hole that he should attack, and he does, and then you get that push from behind. So I think that's the key to it. It's not a quarterback sneak that's getting pushed, like hike going down and everybody pushing. Those are the teams that keep trying it and failing it. The teams that get it right, the quarterback hikes it, waits 1 second, then goes because he can determine which lane the defense is not coming from. So there is an art to it, and I think that Philly's just mastered it. And here's why they're going to vote it out. Because without it, Philly wouldn't have won a Super Bowl. I'll go out on a limb to tell you that. I'm talking about all season. I mean, they'll do it anytime. They'll do it on their own 30 and get it. And just imagine how many times. Imagine if you're not allowed to do it, how many times they would have actually punted. How many times would they have had, man? Some of these games would have been way different. Some of these games would have been way different, man. And that's what I believe. And Eagle Owl don't like that take. The Eagles would have still been great, Eagle Owl. But they might have had 2 more losses on their resume.
But again, it's not an unfair advantage. It's not an unfair advantage. So how are you going to ban it? You're going to ban it because the team perfected it, because they have mastered the craft. It's just like Patrick Mahomes. He's mastered the craft at pretending like he actually got hit, at flying on the ground when the defender.
Josh Allen ain't mastered it yet, but he's
complaining to the refs after every single play when it doesn't go his way. So if we're going to ban the tush push, like I said, are we going to tell Patrick Mahomes, hey, you can only complain to the refs, 3 times a game? All right, we should do that. If that's
3 times, you can only complain to the referees 3 times per game. I'd be fine with that. I would vote in its favor. 100%. I would, and only 2 flops, so make them worth it. All right. Anyway. Moving on, man. Tyreek Hill, dude. He's like the toxic boyfriend of the NFL. All right. Like, he has gone through a roller coaster of saying, man, get me out of here. I want to start winning. And then like weeks later, he's like, oh, no, actually, I want to be on the Miami Dolphins, man. We're good. And then he ended up going on X, I believe it was yesterday or Saturday, where he was retweeting a bunch of like things on Dolphins Twitter suggesting that the Dolphins should trade him. And he was putting a smiley face out there. So who in the hell knows what is up with Tyreek Hill? Does he want to stay? Does he not want to stay? It sounds like Mike McDaniel, who was at the annual NFL meeting, has said that he's planning on moving forward with Tyreek Hill being their wide receiver number 1 once again. But I have to go over to our Dolphins representative over here. TD, what is going on with Tyreek Hill?
Nothing. Tyreek just being Tyreek. What a lot of people don't know, that this whole situation started when a Twitter personality put on Twitter and they said, hey, Dolphins fans, would you be upset if the Miami Dolphins traded Tyreek? And he just responded with a peace sign. And then 1 minute later, he did an individual post of a peace sign. So that's just Tyreek Hill saying, oh, y'all asking, would they be okay? Hey, peace then. Just putting it up. Then he like, you know what? Let me start some drama. And he put the piece by itself because everybody wasn't going to see the first tweet. So he comes back and he puts the peace sign up for himself. I mean, this is just classic Tyreek Hill. Mike McDaniel just said Tyreek is known for whatever antics on social media. I can say with certainty at this certain moment that we are fully planning to move forward with Tyreek on the team this coming season, and I expect great things. A great version of him in 2025. It's a whole bunch of nothing. He's not going anywhere, man. Unless they got a draft day trade working that they're working up, he'll be a Dolphin, man. It is kind of weird. He said, I can say with certainty at this certain moment that we are fully planning to move forward. So he'll be a Miami Dolphin this year. I keep on telling y'all, 2026, he will not be on this team. I told you, he got 1 more year. He's not going to be here. The whole team going in 2026.
Now, would he retire, or do you think that he'd go elsewhere after 2026?
No, another team will trade him. We still got his rights. We'll just trade him. He's not going to be on this roster. The cap hit that he's going to warrant next year. No, and this is McDaniel and Greer's last chance. And we got some revelation news out of Miami this weekend that I talked about. We now know who the man in the building, the only one with common sense. Because remember when Tua needed his contract, but they weren't giving it to him at first?
Yeah.
And Mike McDaniel had to go to the owner and literally basically like advocate for Tua. And Tua said it when he had his press conference after the contract. Mike went to bat for me. We found out who was the opposition because it wasn't Chris Grier. It wasn't the GM. Who was the opposition?
It was the owner.
It was the vice president. Brandon Shore, who controls who's our cap guru. He's the cap guru and he's the lead negotiator. Grier just gets the talent. He's the one negotiating with agents. He's the one doing the cap. He basically said, no, you don't give Tua the money. And Mike McDaniel went to Stephen Ross over his head to advocate. Stephen Ross called Brandon Shore and was like, get it done. And he got it done. And how is that working out? So we know they're definitely on the hot seat now. Grier and McDaniels, they're definitely on the hot seat. Brandon Shore was trying to save us from this drama that we're in now, and here we are. So, yeah, man, it's going to be real interesting.
See, you know what? I thought it was funny because when I saw this,
I saw that too.
That was the most absurd thing I think that I have ever seen in my damn life.
Yeah. Miami, listen, we're not getting rid of the Tush Push now. That's Tush Push worthy.
Hey, listen, that is
there were two Guardian cabs. You'll be fine.
It's all right, Colby. Thoughts on this? What's up with Tyreek Hill? Will he be a Miami Dolphin in 2025?
Yeah, I think we live in like a modern age where we tend to look into things a little bit too much, especially when it comes to football players, it comes to celebrities. It's really hard, especially with the media, because the media puts out narratives that sometimes aren't true, narratives that sometimes are slightly true, but completely overblown, especially at this point in the offseason where maybe there's not necessarily a whole lot happening. That's where the media, they need views. They need clicks more than ever. They start going out there and they start looking into things when nothing's there, all because he posted a piece on Twitter. Now, all of a sudden, we think Tyreek Hill wants out. He's not happy. There's a feud between him and Tua. It's like, no, maybe he's just posting a piece and it has absolutely nothing to do with football whatsoever. So I do think that people are looking into this a little bit too much. Also, what would the Dolphins be looking for in a trade for Tua? Because at best, I think you're getting a 4th round pick. You just had DK traded for a 2nd. He's younger, healthier, and at this point, I would say has way better longevity and is on an upward trajectory compared to Tyreek Hill. Brandon Ayuk, who is even younger than DK, he's being rumored, if he does get traded, to only be traded for a 3rd round pick. You look at Tyreek, he's 31 years old. He's heading into his age 32 season. He has a cap hit of $27.6 million for 2025. And then his final year in 2026, before the void years kick in, he has a cap number of $51.8 million. Who is going to want to take that on for a receiver who is aging? Also, receivers, once they hit 30, statistically, this is a proven fact, receivers start to fall off. Now, some receivers, they fall off as soon as they hit their 30s. Some gradually start to decline. Why would you trade high-end draft capital for a guy who has a massive cap hit and is on the back end of his career? It just doesn't make sense. If we do see a trade, though, of Tyreek, I think it would happen after June 1st, but I think that would limit the amount of teams that would be interested in him. If they trade him before June 1st, they're taking on $28.2 million in dead money while also having just under $600,000 taken away against the cap. So they're not adding cap space. They're actually getting cap space taken away if they trade Tyreek Hill. And all for what? A 4th, 5th round pick? That doesn't make sense. But if you trade him after June 1st, you're taking on $12.7 million in dead money while freeing up $14.9 million in cap space. I think if you make this move, it's because you simply do not want Tyreek in the building. I think the value he's giving you on the field is much more worth the 4th, 5th round pick that you're getting in return via trade.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? Like, you did say something interesting, because now is the time where the media likes to look for clicks. All right. And let me tell you what, whoever wrote this on Sports Illustrated, congratulations. He paid his rent. All right. Somebody on Sports Illustrated sent out an article today, and he's trying to convince the San Francisco 49ers to walk away from Christian McCaffrey. And you know what? At this point, why the hell not? Because they have been having a fire sale of what seems to be all of their players on said roster. Brock Purdy is still waiting right in the trenches for his contract. I saw something where it sounds like that they're not convinced it's going to get done before training camp, or if it does get done, it's going to be around that area. But he suggested that they should send over Christian McCaffrey to the Dallas Cowboys for a couple of third-round picks. And you know what? I think about this, and I am shocked I have not made a TikTok on this yet. Stay tuned after this video. But honestly, right? Like, we are talking about the highest paid running back in the NFL, second, I think, ever since the Saquon Barkley contract by itself. There's no question that he has had an injury history, right? He did win Offensive Player of the Year a couple of years back, and then last year he played 2 games after recovering from an injury, coming back and getting hurt 3 games later. Would this be something, if you were Kyle Shanahan, that you would entertain? I'm going to start off with Colby here. Should the San Francisco 49ers consider shipping off Christian McCaffrey to a running back needy team? Colby, go ahead.
I definitely think they should, especially because I think their Super Bowl era is officially closed, and maybe not forever. Maybe it's kind of just a reset, a retool for the next year or two. But from what I've heard in recent months, the owner there in San Francisco, he's done giving out big contracts. He's done going all in because he's been doing it since 2017, 2018, all the way back when he traded for, Jimmy Garoppolo, a 2nd-round pick to the New England Patriots. And he's gone to a few Super Bowls, right? They're always competitive. They were in, it feels like, the NFC Championship game every single year, but they don't have a single Lombardi to prove for it. At some point, when you throw in that many assets, you're giving out all the money you have, and you don't have a single trophy to show for it. At some point, you stand back and you say, I'm going to put my assets somewhere else. And I think that's exactly what the 49ers are going to do. I think they're in this new age. They're in kind of this bridge era to San Francisco 2.0. And that's going to start with getting younger. And the best way to get younger is by going to the draft and developing your own players, getting those guys on rookie deals for 4, potentially even 5 years if you take them in the first round. You look at Christian McCaffrey, the move they made at the time, it made a lot of sense because he was a running back that was going to take the pressure off of Brock Purdy, and he was going to help them in pass protection, the receiving game, on the ground. He was going to make them a multidimensional offense. They were in their Super Bowl era, so it made a lot of sense for them to make that move. But for where they are now, it doesn't make a lot of sense to give that money to an aging running back who honestly doesn't move the needle for you all that much at this point. I would look to trade him, but what exactly are you going to get for him? The important thing to keep in mind, too, is that if they trade him, they want to trade him right now. If they trade him before June 1st, they're taking on $22.6 million against the cap. So they're losing $22 million in cap space. If they trade him after June 1st, they're freeing up about $1.5 million. So if this move happens, I think it's something that happens maybe next year. I think that this is something that happens after the draft, just because of cap implications. But you also have to understand, 29-year-old running back doesn't have a lot of value compared to other positions in the league. Teams rather just go to the draft, get younger, get that guy on a rookie deal. But you also have to understand the cap number he's going to have. I mean, in 2027, he has a 27.4 cap hit. In 2026, he has $11.9 million cap hit. And this upcoming season has a $9.4 million cap hit. So how many teams are going to want to take him on? I think that is the bigger question.
So I'm looking at a spot track right now, and they technically have an out in 2026, a potential out. Like Colby said, this year, like, San Francisco would really just have to sort of bite the bullet here. And I don't think that expectations are sky high for San Francisco. So might as well. TD, thoughts? Should the 49ers get CMC off of the roster, bite the bullet? By the way, say that they did do what was proposed, where he is sold off for draft picks. They basically would be paying him $4 million just to be playing for a different team, plus $13.5 million in dead cap. Talk to us.
They absolutely should not take him off that roster. He's the only thing that's going to give you stability for the next 2 years. The 49ers, they're in a really bad situation, just like the Dolphins, but they've already accelerated theirs. Here's the issue. The 49ers were a great team when all the weapons are healthy. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. If Deebo was healthy, Ayuk, CMC, they win games. They don't lose when everybody's healthy, Kittle and everybody. And now you moved on from Deebo. And you got CMC coming off of injury. Ayuk always this odd man out, who didn't really show up like I believe he should have when everybody else was out. And now you're in a situation where you're in a really bad conundrum now because Purdy need them weapons. Purdy need every single one of those weapons. You already shipped off one. And so CMC is the only guy that's going to give you a little bit of stability running the football, taking less off of Purdy because Purdy ain't no carrier. Every single time these guys got hurt, like 2 or more, Purdy looked bad. This goes back 2 years ago whenever they had some major injuries for a 3-year stint in their weaponry. And Purdy looked bad in those 3 games. 3 of the few games that they lost. And then you come into the next year, and as soon as injuries happen with his weapons, he's not looking terrible, but he's not looking great. And this is what they got to deal with now. And then you're going to pay Purdy? So the 49ers are in a situation where they're going to pay the quarterback that actually does not deserve to get paid, even though the NFL keeps lying to fans and telling them, the market is the market and you do deserve to get paid. You're not even worth what you're going to be getting paid. And now you're basically writing your sentence on losing pretty much. Now, the jury's still out on Purdy. Can he elevate to another level? Let's not forget he is still young. So I'm not going to make this conclusive. He is still young. But right now, I don't think that he's that type of guy. He's a good quarterback, but he's good enough not to be good enough. And now you're taking away weapons from him. Man, you might want to strip this whole thing down and get your books in order and then try to go at it again. That's how I look at it.
Well, TD, that's kind of what they're already doing, and they didn't necessarily do it on purpose. But you look at what they did already in the offseason, they lost so many pieces to where you look at the valuable pieces you have, you might as well get rid of them. Now, somebody like George Kittle, I would keep around. You don't want to sell every good player you have. You also want to make sure the culture and the off-the-field situation is still good. You have players motivated. You have that next generation coming into at least a good situation off the field and in the locker room. So when it comes to George Kittle, I wouldn't trade him, but anybody else should be up for grabs. They should honestly move on from Purdy too. From what contracts or from what reports have said, they are far apart on contract. And I'm sorry, but Purdy is not the type of quarterback that excels the offense past its limitations.
But they're not. But they're not, Kobe.
But because of the new era they're in, that's exactly what they should. You look at the pieces they lost. Okay, you get rid of Christian McCaffrey. Now Purdy or whoever the quarterback is has one less weapon. Why are we acting like the 49ers are going to be competitive anyway? Whether Purdy's there, whether Christian McCaffrey's there, it doesn't matter. You lost Deebo Samuel. You lost Javon Hargrave. You lost Dre Greenlaw. You lost Javarius Ward. You lost Hufanga to the Broncos. You lost so many key pieces, not just offensively, but defensively. This is not the same 49ers team. They're already being stripped down.
So, Kobe, here's a key question here. Quick answer for me. Is the coach on the hot seat?
Shanahan?
I think this year is dependent on that. This year's dependent on that.
And my point of asking that question, after this year, if they do have to rebuild like completely, I know they've started it, but like completely rebuild, are they going to allow Shanahan to do it? Or are they saying you need to do more this year with less?
I feel like I kind of want to
tired of investing in it.
So I feel like I kind of want to attach the same insurance policy that is on Mike Tomlin on Kyle Shanahan.
Okay, so he good.
I kind of want to attach that same insurance policy.
He's good then.
If anything, like he could potentially be traded, right? Like a Shanahan trade could be something that we could watch out for next offseason in 2026. Because it's true. It does sound that the ownership is getting sick and tired of being good enough not to be good enough, as TD Finstock always says.
But he got enough cachet as a coach.
Yeah. See, I think it really has to do with how good this draft class is for San Francisco. And plus, they did release the strength of schedule. And granted, this is really only based off of records in 2024. Like, we don't know like how good all of these teams on every team's schedule are going to be. But where it does stand, the San Francisco 49ers team has the second easiest schedule in the NFL. Second easiest. But again, like, that's just based off of last year's records. Some things could obviously change. But I don't know. It's definitely the Rams division this year.
You see what the Patriots were in terms of their schedule?
Y'all were like, I'd say like middle of the pack.
You know what? We've had the hardest
AFC East. Most of the AFC East was there. So the Giants have the most difficult, but then again, terrible team. And of course, so they are right in the NFC East as well, which is one of the best divisions of football. But again, I'm not really going to put a lot of weight into that / grain of salt. But I mean, who knows what to expect from the 49ers coming up. But
Dan, did you see the James Cook news? I don't know if that's breaking news or if that's like old news. Did you see that? I saw it just posted that they've ended contract talks with James Cook, and that Brandon Beane said that they could revisit negotiations before he becomes a free agent next year. Yeah, that's crazy.
Sit out, Cook. Sit out. Stop bailing Josh Allen out.
So here's the deal, right? So when it comes into James Cook, and so I did a stream earlier this morning, just trying to unpack as much as humanly possible. Going into this season, all right, I said that we needed to make some difficult decisions, and I thought that we would not be able to re-sign and or extend 2 players out of the entire list, right? You had Benford, you had Shakir, you had Bernard, and then Josh Allen, slightly mixed in, and then same thing with Greg Rousseau and James Cook. I thought that we were not going to be able to find a deal with Christian Benford, which, by the way, was an absolute steal. At $19 million average annual salary, especially compared to the J.C. Horn contract that we saw, especially compared to quite a lot of the cornerback contracts that are still on the market. That was a damn steal, and I'm so glad that we were able to get him for the amount of money that we did. But as far as James Cook is, here's my thoughts on this, guys. I look at what James Cook potentially has to lose, and I don't really see it making sense for him to sit out for the entire year. Number one, like, he has only ever had a rookie contract his entire life. I'm sure that he has implemented himself some sort of lifestyle, like as an NFL, sort of player. In 2025, he is due $5.2 million. If he does not play, if he sits out, he does not receive a single penny from that contract, does not see anything. And he worked very hard for it too, because he was a second-round pick, and that salary was based off of his performance for his first 3. He's going to be 26 years old on September 15th. So say, for example, that I'm a running back, especially a running back that has a brother that completely fizzled out of the league by the time that he was 28 years old, and Dalvin Cook. And by the way, he's 29. Fun fact. I don't really see it benefiting him for sitting out an entire year, no tape at all for the 2025 season, and then attempt to hit free agency and get someone to pay him $15+ million a year. Because at that point, he would be 27 years old, coming off of 1 year, no football at all, 0 money in his bank account. If I'm a gambling man, I have a feeling that he might not show up to mandatory minicamp, maybe a couple of training camp practices here and there, but he will play football for the Buffalo Bills. And say that he does not, I like James Cook. He is a fantastic running back. He plays very, very well. But why do you think that we always have all these conversations of, oh my God, Ty Johnson might be the best RB3 in the NFL? Like, why do we say, dude, Ray Davis played really well with the limited snaps? A lot of it has to do with offensive line run blocking scheme. Like, Ty Johnson is not an incredible running back in this NFL without a solid offensive line. Very similarly to what we have seen from Raheem Mostert, from Matt Breida back in the day when he was behind that offensive line in San Francisco. He ended up changing teams and just simply was not the same. I don't think that he goes up and really misses out on 1 full year of football, especially if he is looking to sign a contract with the Buffalo Bills or any other team in 2026. So I have a feeling that he's going to play. Of course, it's going to be reluctant, but that's my thought process. TD, go ahead. Bills not extending James Cook. What do you think's going to happen?
I think he need to request a trade. Go ahead and start the conversation now where he can actually play and be valued. Why do I say that? Because you don't have to extend them. You're right. Bills might play hardball, but I don't care, Dan. Y'all are not going to be as good without James Cook. Now, your other running back, you'll still have some production, but James Cook's going to give you that just a little bit more. And it made a difference last year. Let's not ignore his contribution. Do not tell me the backup would have been there and would have produced the same thing. He would have done okay. He would have done okay behind that O-line, but he would have not have done what Cook did last year. Cook made some plays in some key moments, kept the chains moving in some key moments. And I think Buffalo, y'all would be playing with fire if you're trying to, because, again, you're building on what you did last year. You got to be going up from here, not down. I mean, you got the Patriots coming now, like a legitimate team. You got, you already know the Dolphins, they scare you.
Now you also.
Man,
you were doing really good. You said Patriots. I was like, you got something.
But at the end of the day, people can think Cook doesn't have any leverage. He's 27 years old. He got a little. And it doesn't start by saying, I'm going to sit out. It starts by saying, I'm requesting a trade. I am requesting a trade because if you want to sit me down and get nothing for me, and you won't get a compensatory pick either because there was zero production from the year before and get absolutely nothing, you might as well trade him and get some late round draft pick.
Yeah.
Might as well.
See, I think everything's going against them. And so with this right here was actually just pointed out by Eagle Al right in the chat. Like normally I would agree with you, but look at how stacked the running back class is this year in the draft. You know what I mean? Like, who's going to go on ahead and send over a 3rd round pick for a guy where they could walk away with like a Scatabo in the 3rd?
Somebody,
or maybe they walk away with an Ollie Gordon in the 4th. I would just be like, okay, yeah, we'll give you a 7th round pick. All right.
Ollie Gordon's a monster, but that's about all he is.
Somebody always misses out, though.
Yeah. Thoughts, Colby? Was this smart for the Buffalo Bills to prioritize Benford, Bernard, Josh Allen, Shakir, and Rousseau right over James Cook? And if not, all right, actually back to TD. Say that you had to take a contract away from somebody that got extended this season. Who would you have replaced it with for Cook's contract? Who would you not have given a contract? Because this largely has to do with money. Like, we had to choose between Benford, Bernard, our linebacker, Shakir, and Rousseau, and then obviously Josh Allen. Who would you have ripped the contract away from to give to James Cook instead?
I mean, I wouldn't have ripped it from neither of them, but I would have went ahead and bit the bullet for the future. Back-ended. And it would put you in a strain in the future that you can figure out. But I would have done it because, not to say that you're in a window, because the Bills proved last year, no, don't put that window on us. You recreated a whole new one, right?
Yeah.
But you cannot regress at this point. If you're still doing those things, and he was a key reason why, like think about it, Dan. The young guys, I'm not even going to say they actually played well, but that's not like Cook didn't play well enough to cover up some of the things you lost from those veterans. And now you're looking for some of those young guys to be better. Your offense has to be better than it was. You can't keep relying on Josh Allen to be that bulldozing guy. And his value, I feel, on his team is big. So give him the money. You're only going to be on the hook for 2 years. The 3rd and the 4th year, if you even do a 4, is probably a 3 he's looking for. The 3rd year won't even be guaranteed money, and half of the 2nd year wouldn't be guaranteed anyway. Give him a little bag up front and backload it and call it a day. You cannot regress. That's the only point I'm making here. How many wins you guys have last year?
13.
You can't go to 11 this year.
No, we wouldn't. Yeah,
I'm just saying,
the
without
thing
Cook,
is that like
you can't
honestly,
say that though.
So I don't really like hop on the bandwagon where people try and act like he was nothing to the Buffalo Bills last year. Like that's a bandwagon I cannot hop on, right? Like when people are just like, "Oh, he's not even that good." I'm like, "Come on, dude. Come on, dude. Like 15 plus touchdowns all purpose. That's big." And they're like, "Oh, well, so with Josh Allen, like he could obviously still end up, picking up that slack and scoring in that category." Let's remember, listen, he's getting old. All right. As much as I hate to say it,
he's getting
our
older.
friend Josh Allen is getting old. All right. And I know that we haven't seen it yet, but eventually we are going to need a quality running back. And remember, we do have a couple of difficult conversations to have for some offensive linemen who are going to be pending free agents next year as well, but that's a different conversation. So I do think it's important, but $15 million a year, I'm not on that bandwagon either. Colby, talk to me. Go ahead.
Is there anyone that I take the contract away from? I personally wouldn't. Those positions are significantly more valuable, and I think that they are more positions of need currently for the Buffalo Bills. If there's anyone, like maybe you make a conversation for Greg Rousseau, but he had, 8 sacks last year? The trenches are so important. So quite honestly, no. You just look at the value of the running back position. I wouldn't do that. But $15 million a year, it is a little bit rich for me. You got Saquon making the highest AAV for running backs at $20.6 million. At second comes Christian McCaffrey at 19. If he ended up making $15 million AAV, he'd immediately be the third highest paid running back in the NFL, because currently slotted in third place is the Colts' Jonathan Taylor at $14 million. So one thing we do have to keep in mind, though, is that the contracts players are asking for doesn't necessarily suit the market now, but it's also suiting for what the market is becoming with the cap space going up each and every single year. Like we talk about with wide receivers, quarterbacks, we're always like, oh, this guy's asking for way too much money compared to his actual value currently. But again, with the cap space going up every single year, the contracts that guys are getting, the money they're asking for is also going up every single year. It just comes down to supply and demand ultimately. So I think that is part of why he's also asking for more money. But is he better than Jonathan Taylor? No. Is he better than Alvin Kamara? No. Is he better than Josh Jacobs? No. I'd give him like $12 million. I think that's fair, but I'm definitely not giving him $15+ million. I don't think that makes sense. But in these negotiations, especially this early on, he's going to ask high, they're going to ask low, and you hope that before he becomes a free agent, ultimately they can meet in the middle. Worst case scenario, they put the franchise tag on him. Worst case scenario, they place a second round tender on him until you're able to work something out. If I'm the Bills, I'm not all that worried. But if you really feel like you're not going to be able to get this extension done, I think you have to be real with yourself right now. Running back is one of those positions where, like you guys alluded to, it really just comes down to the offensive scheme and the blocking in front of them in the trenches. This is a really, really good running back class, really deep, one of the best we've seen in recent years. If they want to ship him off and go with a Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, get younger, get that guy on a rookie deal, they very well could do so. But again, the running game for the Buffalo Bills has been pretty much non-existent outside of 2024. It started in 2023. Dan, I remember you coming on these shows, the AFC East Roundtable, and ranting how Josh Allen has to do everything, how you're a one-dimensional offense that has to win through the air because you're getting nothing done on the ground. You're finally getting something on the ground. You're getting less predictable as an offense. You're multi-dimensional, and now you want to get rid of that piece. That's also something that I would be cautious of.
And let me just say this on that.
Go ahead.
Kobe, you make a good point, but here's the problem with the NFL. Because you're right, Kobe. These contracts and what these players are asking for is because the cap's going up and they know what the market's gonna be. But the problem is the running back position is the position that's getting abused right now. You can't look at Saquon contract because him and Derrick Henry, they're gonna get that. But GMs aren't valuing the running back position like that anymore. They're not looking at what it is at the future. I could bet you the Bills probably not even offering him over $10 million. I don't even think they offer him over $10 million.
So to
now
be
it'll be nice
like,
for them to settle around 11, but I don't even think they offering them over 10.
I feel like it's probably single digits.
Yeah, like 8 or 9.
It's probably
and
8 or 9
like,
a year, 3-year extension. I'm sure that was likely what was on the table at that point. So it's weird. We'll see And remember, guys, like all these contract extensions, so they can happen at any point. So like we could see it, like right before training camp. Like we could see it very randomly in June. Who knows? But for now, he is the odd man out. Now, folks, listen, we have to give a giant shout out right to our proud partner over at Underdog Fantasy. Folks, I have been obsessed with this app, especially with March Madness, with baseball, just seeing opening day last week. It is my go-to place for all fantasy sports. It's very simple. When you sign up using our code RTS and you put in your initial deposit where you could receive up to $1,000 in bonus credit plus a free pick, all you have to do is just pick 2 to 5 players across all college and pro sports and accurately predict whether or not that they will go higher and or lower of their daily projections. If you get all of them correct, then you could see a massive payday. Guys, listen, that link is currently in the description. We highly recommend you go check that out for us and sign up with code RTS. Helps out the channel tremendously. Go on ahead and get in on the action over on Underdog Fantasy. All right. Well, guys, listen. So we wanted to have a shorter show today because I know that some of the hosts have some things that they committed to prior to beginning. But have no fear. We have a lot of topics that we are going to go over tomorrow. Number one, of course, which is probably one of my personal favorites, is there a potential extension looming for Lamar Jackson? His cap hit is about to be absolutely insane. Micah Parsons allegedly wants to be a $200 million man with his extension over in Dallas. Oh, my God. And then the Jets also ended up naming Justin Fields as their starter. We will be unpacking all of that, plus many more, I'm sure. But thank you so much for tuning in. Let's go around the table and have our hosts say goodbye. Colby, what do you got?
Yeah, before I get into that, real quick, shout out to DF Forever for the $2 donation, saying San Francisco easy schedule, string games, make the playoffs. Yeah, see, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think the 49ers are going to make the playoffs. I think we're done. I think this is a new era. Maybe in a few years when they reset. But right now they're going through that reset. Shout out to DF Forever. But hey, man, I appreciate you guys for having me on. As always, shout out to Richie for allowing me and trusting me to come on in his place, of course. I know I'll be back on the show sooner rather than later. So you guys will be seeing this mug very shortly. Make sure you guys, of course, check out Draftaholics every single Thursday on this YouTube channel at Roundtable Sports at 6 p.m. Eastern, where we break down everything involving the draft.
Have to. It's one of my favorite shows on the network. TD, what do you got to tell the people before we send them off?
Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to the homie DF, man. Appreciate you, man. Listen, y'all make sure y'all tune in tomorrow as well. Richie, we miss you. But we're gonna be showing Richie some birthday love tomorrow. It is his birthday. So y'all come through tomorrow and show Richie some love. All right. But hey, we did get to escape his terrible takes today. So that's the beautiful thing. All right.
We did indeed. So the fool of the century was born on April Fool's Day. All right, folks. So go ahead and tune in and wish Richie a happy birthday. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of Fourth and Forever, presented by Roundtable Sports. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place.
Peace.